Hi everyone, my name is Erin Blair and this is my comprehensive project. I created what I wanted to be kind of an online virtual scrapbook. So I included pictures and screenshots from my time throughout my tutoring sessions and a few quotes that I found to just be very applicable. I really wanted to focus and talk about not only the literacy progress that these students made, but as an educator myself, the tremendous experience that I had throughout this working at a school that is considered very demographically low income. So the students that I had the opportunity to tutor all attend the same kindergarten classroom at a school in an urban, like I had mentioned, demographically low income area. I was fortunate enough that the school was extremely supportive and they offered me any resources I needed, any rooms, any technology, smart boards, whatever I needed. They were super excited and willing to help in any way just because extra resources in tutoring is something that they can't necessarily afford to staff, but when someone wants to volunteer, they were hands in. So I was very supported by the school and the student's classroom teacher, actually. She and I would meet before my meetings for about 20 to 30 minutes each time. We even had multiple times where I would bring lunch and we'd sit down. And so I learned through this tutoring the importance of collaboration and working with other educators, because watching and learning from her helped me tremendously throughout my experience tutoring her students. The 5 students that I tutored were, at the beginning of the year, assessed at quite a bit lower level than their peers and classmates, and so that's what the teacher had suggested, that I take those 5 students to do my tutoring sessions with. So sadly, one little girl that I had, and you'll see her in some of the pictures, ended up moving suddenly right in the middle, so she's only in a couple of the pictures, but we can go ahead and get started right here. This is just my group, as you can see. So this picture right here, the smartboard was down that day. We usually would put it up on the smartboard, but I incorporated a sing-along singing, dancing. If any of you have not used GoDoodle, I strongly suggest it. If you don't want to pay for the subscription, you can find a lot of the videos for free online on YouTube. But this is a website where you can look up any subject, any grade level, any specific topic, and they've got super fun, interactive dancing, singing, just really fun songs and sing-alongs to go along with whatever topic you wanted. So they had an array of ABC, sight words, just almost any literacy skill that you can imagine. They have songs to go along with that. So we started every single tutoring session with that, and they absolutely loved it. Like, this got them so pumped up and so excited, and I had a blast. I was biting my tongue trying to laugh because they would get so into it. It was absolutely adorable. But it was a great way for one, not only for them to retain information, because the majority of my kiddos didn't know their alphabet, and by the end of it, I would say that almost all of them can recite it very, very well. But also it was a great way for us to bond and build a relationship when I'm out there dancing with them. It was just a super fun opportunity. And this quote kind of ties into what I had previously mentioned as my experience and growth as an educator during this program. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time, and it says, "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life believing that it's stupid," by Albert Einstein. The school that I serve, like, again, demographically very low income, it has a very high rate of minority students. A lot of the kids in this school, so they learn in different ways. The school is great about providing trauma-informed education and care throughout their curriculum, but they learn in different ways, and that's something that I learned very quickly. I have substitute taught in many classrooms, and I taught in demographically low-income rural areas, but then to tutor in an urban area was a totally different experience for me. And I had to learn and remind myself that while these kids may demographically come from the same financial makeup of other kids that I've taught, they are different individual children. And so the methods that I may have used for classroom management, substitute teaching, or in previous internships may not work and likely won't work for these kids because it's not a one-size-fit-all. And so I just thought this quote was such a great reminder, and I even had it as my phone background, so that I would just remind myself when I'm with these kiddos, hanging out with them, that each and every single one of them brings something very, very different to the table, and their strengths and weaknesses are completely different, and I need to educate them and teach them accordingly. So that is one way I think that I developed big time throughout this. I wanted to include this. This is something I did, and it ended up being one of the most fruitful activities, and it wasn't even with the kiddos, but it was in parent-teacher conferences. I had spoken with the kiddos I tutored, their classroom teacher, and I had suggested that maybe I write something to give to their parents to talk about what we've been doing during our tutoring sessions, because one-on-one time with their parents was very limited for me to speak with them. So I created this little sheet and filled it out, and then the teacher went over it with them during parent-teacher conferences. And because this was so fruitful, I had parents emailing me, thanking me for that, asking how they could go about doing these things. One of my students, I created a game called Letterland, and it's just Candyland, but instead of using the Candyland cards, I used note cards and had A through Z, and they would have to draw the card, say what the letter was, and then they would move forward their pieces just like in normal Candyland. But he absolutely loved it, and apparently he kept going home and talking about Letterland to his mom. And so through this parent-teacher conferences, I think that just opened the door for them to feel comfortable in reaching out to me. And she asked how she could play that, and so fortunately I was able to just give them one of those games to take home with him. But here is another quote. This is, remember, every child has a story that leads to misbehavior or defiance. 9 times out of 10, the story behind the misbehavior won't make you angry, it'll break your heart. I had a lot of behavioral issues. Almost all of the kiddos that I was tutoring had diagnoses which would affect their behaviors within our sessions together. And attention and staying focused was a struggle. And so I had to remind myself on a daily basis that this could be in reaction to anything going on outside of school that I'm not necessarily aware of. And so making this a structured, safe, and fun environment for these kids is going to be far more fruitful, and I'll have way more success in helping these kids catch up with their peers and classmates than if I were to just constantly be correcting their behavior. So finding appropriate ways to do that so we can stay on task. And remembering this quote was huge. Here is a picture. We did a monster craft for Halloween for our lesson plan that integrated art, and it was so fun. As you can see, they're adorable with their little monster faces, and we worked on shapes in that as well, so they could identify shapes, and they had to use at least 3 colors, so we kind of incorporated a lot of different subjects. And then the last quote I wanted to leave y'all with is, almost every student you meet may be fighting a battle you know nothing about. Stop, think, and then make your response accordingly. So while yes, that this entire tutoring session was very based on literacy skills and assessment and gaining those skills, and us as educators learning how to assess our students and intervene, it not only helped me with that, but helped me in classroom management and just growing as an educator overall, because I was more intentional and thoughtful in the way that I approached students and handled behaviors. And in turn, I believe that their assessments and their literacy skills thrived because it was a safe environment where they had fun and felt comfortable. And then I'm running out of time, but I wanted to show y'all this just last few little pictures. This is, here we go. Just a few pictures of the kiddos. This is the Letterland game I talked about. Here's one of our read alouds. Here's them working on their B letters, and Letterland again. But I thank you guys for listening, and I hope that you guys enjoyed your tutoring just as much as I did. Have a great evening.